Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hakoreja Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Claws, season number 4, episode number 6, which is titled Greed. And a lot happened for Desna in this episode. It's as if she takes one step forward and needs to take another, like two steps back. Like every step she takes, there are obstacles in her way, and with only 4 more episodes left for this final season, I'm really looking forward to seeing how everything is going to come together for Desna, or maybe not. Maybe she'll face the consequences of some of her actions. But anyway, coming to episode number 6, it opened up with a dinner. So Eve has been invited over to Desna's place. Tony's there, Desna's there, Dean's there, and yeah, Dean's like, well, Eve doesn't eat meat, but Desna doesn't really care because she is a bit cold towards Eve, which makes sense considering what kind of character Desna is, because she's always looking out for her brother. So everyone's talking, they're having a good time. And Desna makes it quite clear that you know what the practices that Eve uses in order to help women give birth, she isn't into it. She's like, you know what? If I ever get pregnant, I need all the drugs that can be given to me at the hospital when I give birth and all of that. But Eve is very, yeah, she's very into the entire let nature play its course and allow people to have kids the way nature intended them to, and all of that stuff. So while they're talking, this is where Dean is like, Desna, you're being a bit rude towards my girlfriend. And Eve is like, Dean, I'm not your girlfriend. And Dean's like, what? And yeah, Eve tells Dean that she's just not into labels. But then again, when it comes to Dean is very into labels and categorizing things and all of that. And Dean just he stands up and he walks away because right now he doesn't have it in him in order to have such a conversation with Eve, and Eve's still at the table because Eve's very chill. She's quite mature and she's quite chill about it. And Tony, after seeing this little argument between Eve and Dean, Tony is like, "Hey, Desda, at least we don't have to care about this, right? We have been through this. You are my girl." And Desna's like, I'm not anyone's girl. Tony, who told you that? No one owns me. I am my own person. So why don't you go and give me some more wine? But yeah, so Eve and Desna do connect with each other over over their opinions of being their own person and not belonging to someone. So it's the next day, and Polly and Virginia walk into the salon, and yeah, Polly is like, Virginia, you still haven't told Desna that you told Georgia about killing Bambi, and you're still lying to her. And Virginia's like, hey, Georgia's cool, she won't say anything, so there's no need for us to tell Desna that. So the Polly is like, do you want me to continue lying? And Virginia's like, yup. And while they're talking, they notice that Jen decided to stay the night at the salon because, yeah, Jen is like, I can't go home. The kids aren't there. I'm trying to cope. And I'm like, yep, you are trying to cope, but in an unhealthy manner, because from the previous episode we know that Jen has been taking the drugs. And yeah, her friends notice it, and I really hope that they have some sort of intervention to help Jen cope in a healthy manner, because even Desna is like, hey, you aren't really coping. You haven't met, I think she hasn't met Bryce for like a week now, and that's not good. So anyway, Desna has some good news to share with her crew, and it turns out that she ended up buying a new place. So they are expanding, and they are going to open a new branch of nail artisans, and everyone's happy. The new location is at the posh area, which is good. So the crew goes and looks at the new salon. It's quite spacious, and this is where Desna is like, Jen, I'm going to make you the manager of this particular branch, and it will help keep you distracted from the girls, give you something to focus on. And Jen is like, you won't regret this, Desna. You won't regret this. And I'm like, she will regret it. So we cut to Quiet Anne and Jerry, and Jerry's like, "Hey, Anne, what are you working on?" And Anne is like, "Well, I just want to get out of here. I'm doing all of this for my baby, and in 10 months, if my calculations are right, and if my record gets expunged by the judge, I'll be out of here. I'll move to a new city and start a new life with my kid." And Jerry is like, hey, I can actually help you get the money you want faster and maybe go with you. And Anne is like, yep, Tell me the plan. So we got to the warehouse, and Bryce, because with Jen dealing with her emotional issues and her emotional burden with pills, Bryce ended up finding an emotional outlet through fighting, which isn't really healthy, but yeah, he's still fighting. So Quiet Anne and Cherry go and meet with Uncle Daddy. He wasn't put in jail. He's back because yeah, the prison was like, we ain't taking you in because you're already shot, and then we'll have to take care of you and all of that stuff. And also, there's some privilege involved, and yeah. So this is where Cherry ends up telling Uncle Daddy about her plan. So she knows the health inspector of the cruise ports, Jimmy. His name's Jimmy. She used to date him back in high school when she was still figuring out her sexuality. And she's like, if we end up selling fentanyl patches to the cruise ships, we will be making a whole lot of money. And Uncle Daddy is quite impressed by that idea, and they're like, yeah, let's go meet Jimmy. So while that's happening, over at the new branch for nail artisans, Miss the name is Nail Artisan Stew. Oh, that's a good name. I just noticed it. So a competitor comes in, and her name is Mrs. Joy, and Mrs. Joy isn't happy about the fact that a new nail salon ended up opening quite near to her nail salon. And Jen goes to meet Mrs. Joy, but Mrs. Joy is quite cold, and she brought her nephew Raymond. I guess his name is Raymond. And yeah, Mrs. Joy is like, I don't like you guys working here. You won't be stealing my clients. And Jen, because I think she was kind of high during this scene. Jen doesn't like Mrs. Joy's attitude, and she ends up grabbing Mrs. Joy by the neck, and Desna has to intervene. And Desna is like, Jen, what the heck are you doing? Let Mrs. Joy go. And Mrs. Joy is like, you will regret this, and she walks away. And you just know that a lawsuit is coming. So Uncle Daddy's meeting with Jimmy went well, and Jimmy was like, okay, so I'll allow you to sell your fentanyl patches on the cruise ships. And Uncle Daddy is very, very happy about expanding his business in such a manner, and especially making Desna jealous. But as he's walking out of the office, this is where he ends up getting a heart attack. And I'm like, okay, so are they going to kill off Uncle Daddy by the end of this season? Who knows? But yeah, he gets a heart attack. Everyone's worried. And during his heart attack episode, he ends up meeting his wife, Wanda. And he's like, are we in heaven? And Wanda's like, we ain't in heaven. So this is where Wanda tells Uncle Daddy that you know what, you are living on borrowed time. Who knows when you'll die? So what you need to do is you need to think of your legacy. You need to think about what you're leaving behind in this world. Who will continue the hustler name and all of that stuff. So focus on family, Uncle Daddy. Focus on family. So he wakes up at a hospital. Bryce is there as well, and this is where Uncle Daddy tells Bryce that he's going to focus on family because family is very important, and he needs to leave something for the future. And at this point, you can tell that he is willing to give everything, his name, his legacy, his business to Bryce. But then again, I'm like, Bryce can't really handle that. So we cut to Axel and Polly, and it turns out that Axel bought Polly an RV. It's all decked out. It has everything she needs to continue her journey as a debt doula, which, okay. And there's already a patient inside the RV, and yeah, Axel is like, are you ready? Are you ready to be a debt doula? Because you have a gift to help people move on. And Polly, the smile Polly gave, Polly is like, yep, I'm ready. I am ready because this is my calling. So we are at the salon, and it turns out that Mrs. Joy will be pressing charges, and I think there are two charges. She's like, either you close the salon, and if you guys don't close the salon or pay me, then lawyers will be involved, and there will be an audit and all of that stuff. And yeah, getting involved in criminal behavior is not going to look good on Jen's record, especially because she is trying to get her kids back. And Jen is like, Desna, I'm just so sorry. I'm sorry. And Desna is like, you know what, Jen, sorry isn't going to cut it. So let me handle Mrs. Joy from now on. Then we cut to Virginia. She ended up going to meet with Quiet Anne, and Quiet Anne is like, hey, does Desna know you're here? And Virginia is like, the crew doesn't know where I am 24/7, you know. And Quiet is like, okay. And this is where these two are talking, and Quiet and let slip that cruise ships are going to be involved in Uncle Daddy's business. And Virginia is like, hey, you need to tell me everything. You know that I don't talk. And I'm like, Virginia, you talk a lot. We love you, but you talk a lot. So Quiet End ends up telling Virginia that Uncle Daddy will be expanding their business to cruise ships, and Virginia's like, mm-hmm, that's good, that's good. Quiet End gets a call. It's her judge, and it turns out that the judge won't be expunging her records, and Quiet End is very, very mad about it. She is disappointed. She is angry because even if she gets the money to get out of the city, she can't have a proper, well-paying job because of her record. So we cut to the nail artisan stew salon, and Jen is talking to her girls on the phone. And yeah, she apologizes that Bryce couldn't be here because I think this is a necessary call from the social services people. And if Bryce misses another call, then they will have trouble getting their kids back. But yeah, she is talking to her kids, and Georgia listens to the call as well. And Jen is like, Georgia, I appreciate you trying to help me, but why don't you go and organize the nail polishes in the back? And Georgia is like, yeah, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Because Georgia has started to work in this particular outlet. So yeah, she is continue to take pills. Bryce comes in, and Bryce is like, Jen, I am so sorry, I'm so sorry. And Jen is like, Bryce, do you even care about our daughters? Do you even want to get them back? So if we miss another call, we are going to be in trouble. And Bryce is like, Jen, I'm crying, I am crying. And he starts crying, and Jen starts crying as well because she hasn't seen her husband in like a week. And as she's comforting him, this is where she notices that Bryce has been fighting in the warehouse, and she's like, so you fighting at the warehouse was more important than you getting to talk to your own daughters, huh? And Bryce is like, that's not how it is. I was also with Uncle Daddy. He got a heart attack. But yeah, Jen isn't necessarily listening to all of this. And Jen is like, you know what, Bryce, just go, just go. And Bryce is like, yeah, this week I'm not going to do this right now. So he walks off, and Jen decides to take even more pills. And as she's gulping down the pills, Tony comes in, and Tony is like, Jen, are you okay? Do you want to talk? And Jen is like, yeah, yeah, let's talk. So we cut to Ken, and he ends up meeting one of his old co-workers, internees or something, one of his peers, I guess. Let's call him that. And yeah, his peer is like what, the head of neurology at a hospital. And Ken is like, yeah, I wasn't really interested in such a career path. I'm more of a hands-on person. And yeah, the peer is like, so what about your love life? Are you in a relationship? Are you looking? Are you still single? And Ken is like, hey, I'm actually going out with a very beautiful woman, and he ends up showing the picture of the woman who is Selena on his mobile phone. It turns out that Selena is actually this person's daughter who Ken used to know when Selena was a kid, and it's awkward. It's very, very, very awkward. So Desna ends up going to meet with Mrs. Joy, and she is like, Mrs. Joy, we are both women of color. We are part of a minority. We are just trying to survive. So why don't we help each other? And Mrs. Joy is like, yeah, you have. Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, but I have other plans. So this is other plans. So this is where Mrs. Joy is like, you know what, Desna? In order for me to not press charges on your salon and Jen, I want you to start paying me $10,000 a month. I'm like, 10 freaking $1,000 a month? That's a whole lot of money. But yeah, Desna's out of options, and she agrees. She agrees. So Polly ends up helping a person go to the next life. She basically kills him, helps kill him, and this is where Axel ends up telling Polly that the reason that he is interested in doing all of this is because he had a twin brother who had leukemia, and he didn't like how his twin brother suffered through all of those years, and he appreciates what Polly can is able to do for people who are ill in such a manner. And Polly is like, yeah, I used to have a twin sister too, so I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand your feelings. And yeah, the world works in mysterious ways. So there is clearly a very, very strong bond between these two. So we're at the original nail salon, and Ken is telling Virginia and Polly about how he ended up meeting Selena's father and how he used to know Selena when Selena was a kid, and he just feels weirded out. And Virginia's like, hey, age is nothing but a number. You don't necessarily have to worry about age. If you like Selena, you like Selena. Dean was older than me, and Polly is basically out there dating a very old person. So it really doesn't matter. So anyway, Desna comes in, and this is where Desna is like, Virginia, where were you? And Virginia tells Desna that she was at Quiet Anne's and she has some piping hot tea to tell her. And yeah, Virginia ends up telling Desna about Uncle Daddy expanding his business to involve cruise ships to make even more money. And yeah, Desna doesn't like that. Desna doesn't like the idea of Uncle Daddy expanding his business because she's already worried that she'll need to pay $1,000 per month to Mrs. Joy, and she doesn't like that. And Candace like, hey, you know how I handled you and Uncle Daddy? By getting some leverage. So you need to find some dirt on Mrs. Joy to have an upper hand. And Desna's like, how the heck am I going to do that? And Virginia's like, I volunteer. I'll go in sneaky into her hair salon and see if I can collect some dirt. So we cut to the warehouse, and Quiet Anne ends up talking to this little kid who is apparently a very genius hacker. And he is willing to expunge Quiet Anne's records for a fee. And Quiet Anne's like, yeah, go for it. So Uncle Daddy is in the warehouse as well. He has his hospital bed and all of that stuff. And Bryce comes in, and Bryce is like, Uncle Daddy, I think I'm losing everything. And Uncle Daddy is like, don't give up, Bryce. You have a wife, you have your daughters. Just don't give up on family. And you are going to continue the hustler name, right? You know that. And Bryce is like, yeah, I'm not going to give up. But after Bryce goes, Wanda appears again, and Wanda is like, oh, Uncle Daddy, you know that Bryce doesn't have it in him in order to continue the family legacy. What you need is a new recruit. You need someone new that you can mold into your own image. And I was like, is this narrative going where I think it's going? And yep, sure enough, it actually went there because Wanda is like, what you need is a new baby in order to mold the baby. And that ends up putting Quiet Anne into directly in Clay's eyesight. And yeah, he is going to steal the baby. He will do it. So Virginia comes in to talk to Desna, and Desna is like, Virginia, tell me something. Maybe she's involved in sex trafficking or whatnot. And Virginia's like, you know what, Desna, I am sorry. There's really nothing. She's just running a scam to get the tourists from the cruise ships to come over to her salon to make some money. And yeah, I'm sorry, we can't do anything about her. And Desna's like, okay, I guess I'll just pay her. So Mrs. Joy's nephew Raymond comes in to collect the payment, and Desna's like, so she controls you, huh? And Raymond is like, no, she doesn't control me. She is my aunt, and if I play my cards right, she'll leave everything to me, and I'll continue her salon and the money and all of that stuff. And Desna's like, okay, good to know that Mrs. Joy has feelings. And Desna, instead of paying Raymond the money, she ends up killing Raymond. She just shoots him. And I was like, wait, is this a dream sequence? Is this a dream sequence? But no, it wasn't a dream sequence. Desna really decided to kill Raymond. And I'm like, wow, Desna, wow. So it's the next day, and Jen is very surprised due to what Desna just did, and she's like, "Okay, so I can't choke another woman, but you can like kill a person, Desna? Is that who we are now?" And Desna's like, hey Jen, don't you put all of this blame on me. I was actually solving a problem that you caused. Uh-huh. And Virginia's there as well because Virginia ended up getting rid of Raymond's body. And yeah, Desna's like, you know what, Jen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to allow anyone to come between me and my goals. So if it means I have to shoot down a couple of people, I'll do that. And Virginia's like, you know what? We're in the dark karmas now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with Virginia. Like Desna, she'll need to face consequences for her actions. But let's see if she does. So Uncle Daddy, because he wants to be close to Quiet Anne and the baby, he ends up going to meet Quiet Anne, and he has a basket of healthy foods and all of that stuff. And Quiet Anne really appreciates Uncle Daddy, and I'm like, Anne, you're in danger, girl. You're in danger. And the baby kicks, and Uncle Daddy feels the kick, and I'm like, oh. So Desna ends up going to talk to Mrs. Joy, who is a bit upset that Desna ended up killing her favorite nephew, but she is a businesswoman and she needs to move on. And this is where Desna is like, Mrs. Joy, I need a favor from you. I need you to connect me to your cruise ship person. So it turns out that Mrs. Joy ended up connecting with the cruise ship person, Jimmy, through her baby mama, her girlfriend, who is pregnant. And Desna ends up meeting that woman as well. And the woman is like, yeah, I guess I can help you. So Tony and Jen have been connecting. They have been talking to each other over at the salon, and she tells some old stories of all of the shenanigans she and Bryce were involved in. And Tony was like, "Okay, so you two used to be fun, huh?" And Jen is like, "Yeah, yeah, we used to be fun." So Bryce comes in order to mend things with Jen. He has a flower bouquet. It's very cute, but yeah, Jen isn't having it because Bryce is like, "Jen, I'm sorry." And Jen is like, "I have a list of things that you messed up. So what are you sorry for, Bryce?" And this is where Bryce notices that Jen is actually high. And he's like, Jen, you're high, right?" And Jen is like, "You know what? You mess up everything, you are ruining everything, so I want you out of my life. Just get out of Salon." And yeah, Bryce doesn't have any other option but to walk away. And I'm like, really, Bryce, really? Your wife has started using again. Maybe you should tell Desna and tell Desna and the rest of the crew to help you with this. But maybe he'll do that, or maybe he's already trying to. Yeah, he already has a lot on his plate with his own emotions. But let's see what happens in the final 4 episodes. So Polly ends up helping another person die. And yeah, Axel is having a lot of fun. And this is where Axel is like, I really like you, Polly. And Polly's like, I like you too. And there's something I need to confess. But before Polly can confess to Axel, this is where the RV starts moving. So it turns out that these two people ended up stealing the RV and they're driving it off. And what ensues is a little comedic fight scene between these two people and Axel and Polly. And Polly is about to fall out of the RV. Axel helps her get up. They push one of the men out, and the person on the driver's seat, he tries to grab his gun, but Polly is able to hold him still. And Axel decides to take out this dagger out of his cane, and I'm like, okay, Lucius Malfoy illness. And he stabs the person, and yeah, they push him out of the RV as well. Adrenaline is rushing, and this is where Axel is like, Polly, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life, so be my wife. And Polly is like, yeah, I can do that. And one thing that I really liked and I appreciated is that Polly, even though this was a high intensity situation, Polly still ended up using her fake British accent. She didn't break once. So Desna ends up talking to Jimmy, and Jimmy is like, "Hey, I'm a man of my word. I already have made a deal with Uncle Daddy, so I'm sorry. I can't continue selling your pills instead of the fentanyl patches." And as Desna and Jimmy are talking, Desna is like, "Okay, so you don't want to make more money through the pills to get something to buy something amazing for your girlfriend and your baby?" And Jimmy is like, "No, I've already given my word to Uncle Daddy." And while these two are talking, Jimmy's girlfriend ends up, yeah, she's about to give birth because her water broke. And Desna's like, okay, I'll call the ambulance. Let's go to the hospital. But it turns out that Jimmy's girlfriend is undocumented, so they can't just go into the hospital. And Desna's like, I know a place. I know a place that can help you out. And she ends up bringing Jimmy and his girlfriend to Dean and Eve. So while that's happening, Tony and Jen are still talking to each other, and yeah, this is where Tony is like, "Okay, so you guys have been selling pills. Uncle Daddy sells fentanyl patches, so why don't you guys work together?" And Jen is like, Desna and Uncle Daddy will never see eye to eye. And this is also where Tony is like, you know what? Even when I want to get closer to Desna, she has this wall up. So what's that about? And Jen ends up telling Tony about Roller. And yeah, these two are really, really forming a connection. And I'm side eyeing this. I am side eyeing this because I'm still very suspicious of Tony. This could end up, yeah, this could lead to a lot of trouble. So Dean ends up helping Eve with delivering the baby, and Eve is like, "Dean, you need to do this. You need to do this," and he does, and he succeeds. And Eve is very impressed by Dean because she's like, "You know what? I was right about you. You have what it takes to be a doula, to be a part of the midwifery profession and all of that stuff." And Eve, because she's impressed by Dean, she's like, "You know what? You were also right about having labels. So maybe it's time for me to start using labels." So I guess she's officially Dean's girlfriend now. Jimmy thanks Desna for helping his girlfriend and helping with the birth of his baby daughter. I think it's a daughter. And Desna's like, "You know what? I can tell you how you can make it up to me." And of course, she's going to strike a deal. And they ended up pushing Uncle Daddy out. White and tells Uncle Daddy about the development, and Uncle Daddy is very, very angry about it. He's like, how the heck did Desna know about us working with cruise ships? And Quiet Anne is distracted because she just got a message that her record has been expunged by the little kid hacker, and she's very happy. And while that's happening, Wanda comes in again, and Wanda is like, Clay, you need to do something because as long as Desna's business continues to succeed, you won't have anything to leave your child. You won't have anything to leave as a legacy. And Clay is like, yep, you're right, Wanda. What we need to do is mess up with Desna's business. And yeah, he ends up doing just that later on in the episode. So Eve is at Desna's house, and yeah, Desna is like, you know what? Even though I don't necessarily agree with all of your practices, they work. They really do work. And Eve is like, "Yep, they work." And Desna also tells Eve that she's glad that Dean ended up liking her and that she's in Dean's life. And he's like, "Yeah, I like that. I like that too." So yeah, these two ended up connecting with each other, which is a good thing. So Selena and Ken end up talking to each other. So it turns out that Selena got discovered by Donatella Versace, and now she's a supermodel, and she'll be going to New York and then Milan and yada yada yada. And Ken is like, so I'm willing to do long distance if you are. And Selena's like, you will do this for me? Ken is like, yep. Even though it was awkward talking to your dad, if you don't have a problem with how old I am with compared to you, I'm open to a long distance relationship. And Selena's like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm like, hopefully it works out. So the episode is coming to a close, and Desna is very happy that her business is booming. She is a successful woman. She ended up dealing with the Mrs. Joy situation, and yeah, she is ready to be intimate with Tony. But before that can happen, the bell rings, and Virginia comes in with the claws up employees. So it turns out that Uncle Daddy decided to attack Desna's employees. He ended up breaking breaking their leg, injuring them. One of them has a neck brace on, and yeah, Desna's employees are like, you know what, Desna, we are out. We are out because Uncle Daddy is very, very angry that we are messing up with his business. And Desna is like, no, we need to stay strong. We can do this, and we need to clap back. And yeah, but no. The employees walk away, and Desna's claws up business, I guess, another obstacle for Desna to handle. And the episode ends with Desna being like, ugh. So I guess she is going to get revenge on Uncle Daddy somehow, and that's something that I'm interested in seeing. However, the way that this particular scene was shot, with Tony in the background standing like this, I am like, there's something up with Tony. There is something up with Tony. But yeah, if I end up doing a written review of this for the Geekiary, I'll make sure to leave the link to the review down in the comment section below as soon as the review is published on the website. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I enjoyed it. Again, Desna ends up experiencing trouble after trouble after trouble. But yeah, let me know what you thought, and until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.